Yeah, so IoT today is more on the commercial enterprises taking that and moving it more into the consumer side in only certain segments. I mean, if you look at banking as one, retail has some aspects of it. But more or less, if you look at where IoT is heavily used, it's in the manufacturing segment. Cars have automatically become connected. I mean, if you look at the kind of platform, the CAN bus, which is already there in the car, I mean, the computerized systems which are there in the car, become a natural connect to be able to drive things to the cloud per se and being able to drive insights from it. The whole definition of IoT changes when it comes into a use case scenario. If you take, for example, people are really worried about the usage of water. In India, there's certain places there's drought, and people are really concerned about how much water they use. Now, many a times in India, the water is being pumped from the ground, and there's no billing mechanisms or something which happen. But at the same point of time, if there was some kind of a device mechanism, especially in apartments and so on and so forth, where there is a certain sensor which actually starts looking at how much the water flows. I mean, that is one from a consumption perspective. But the second aspect of it is we have too many leaky taps and the malfunctioning faucets and everything which happens. If there was some kind of mechanism to actually send out alerts in terms of saying, hey, your apartment, your tap in this particular place is leaking, or even, to a point like, even if you don't want to get so sophisticated, as simple as letting the building management know this particular flat has a leaky tap or a faucet, being able to do it. That's the simplest of scenarios. In the high-end scenarios, if you talk about media and all that stuff, where IoT comes into play is now it gets into every household and, every household and every person in the household, where a device continues to be transmitted. I mean, even body languages can be taken into question, and the content now can be devised for people based on their certain physical and socialistic attributes. I mean, if I'm watching a TV channel and I'm fidgeting and I'm feeling something about it, it gives me an indicator. It gives the companies an indicator saying, X number of people did not like this. I mean, they're getting bored and they're going to switch to another channel per se. So the scenarios get very diverse. And the biggest thing is going to be the more data you have, the more data you can collect, the more analytical you can get, and the more better services you can go derive. Just not to go too much further on this, if you look at media companies, there's so many channels. After coming to India, for me is like, I watch English, I watch Hindi, I watch Telugu, I watch Tamil and all that stuff. There's so many channels. If I want news, I have a choice of so many channels. But sometimes what happens is, to me, everything looks the same. And so the chances of somebody being held, that loyalty can only be created if I know on demand, what is happening in the marketplace. And that is where the future is. No, there are some fundamental things which are needed here, right? So the fundamental thing is we need better broadband connectivity. We need better, cell phone connectivity. Because at the end of the day, what happens is there are devices like, for example, my Microsoft Band is actually transmitting and my phone is collecting it. But the phone has to send it somewhere. If I want, for example, if I said, this device is actually collecting my vitals, and let's assume that I'm a patient, a high-risk patient or a mid to high-risk patient, and it's coming into my cell phone. Now, the only way somebody is going to be able to tell me is if this data goes somewhere and is being able to run through an analysis, and somebody tells me, hey, dude, hey guy, you need to come to the hospital, because you're at the risk of having a heart attack, or, you're going to have a sunstroke or whatever it is, right? I think that connectivity is going to be very important. The second thing is there is tons of innovation happening. I mean, startups are growing left, right, and center in India. If you look at, cities like Chennai has become a startup hub for manufacturing. Bangalore has become a startup hub for a lot of these IoT-oriented projects. So is Delhi. Like Gurgaon and Noida seem to be sprouting startups. The key thing is, how do we bring these all mainstream? How do these all get into a unified, experience kind of thing, which actually are able to provide services covering people of all types, all kinds, not necessarily on gender. It's also around age. We talk about millennials all the time. Millennials have different needs. They don't go shopping. They do everything from their cell phone. How do you address all these things? So I think there's tons more work to be done. But for a company like Microsoft is to actually, invigorate that ecosystem and actually challenge them to do much more and actually support them in actually bringing solutions to the Indian market. I mean, I just see tons of opportunity in India. I mean, I see people of India are much more savvy than even, many countries I've visited. I noticed the cell phone reach, the smartphone reach is much bigger than any other country in the world that I have been to. I mean, I leave China alone, but we don't have language barriers. Everybody, majority of the people can read English, or there's a common mode of communication. So it's a vast opportunity. First, I want to quote what our CEO Satya said. He said our mission, we wanted to be a bold company, right? And the bold meaning that we want to take risks. And the core vision statement is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to do more and achieve more, which means that we will continue to be the enablers to empower people to be able to do it. Azure, we continue to innovate on the cloud, from productivity solutions to the infrastructure-oriented solutions. But see, infrastructure only goes so far. I mean, it gives you the basics of setting something up. But all the other services that we provide on top provides, people to go build, I mean, to envisage new scenarios and to actually take their investments and put it in places where their core purpose is. Look, there are industries which serve consumers in a totally different manner. They don't need to worry about their hardware and try to think in terms of, what kind of analytics and all that stuff. Today, there are some data points which says only 10% of people in organizations have access to data. How nice would it be if we are able to give that power to the person, every single person in that organization, to drive more? Now, coming to IoT, I met Vishal and Uday a couple of months, as I was doing. I mean, I've been in the country since actually Republic Day this year, January 26th, when I moved to take this role. I spent much of my time in the engineering organization, Cloud and Enterprise in Redmond, in Microsoft Corp. And as a part of my tour, I was looking at some innovative partners, established partners, and looking for new things, trying to understand what was happening. I came across Uday and Vishal. And one of the things which really interested me was they were down a path where they said, hey, we've got all these customers, here's something we are doing. I think we can do more for these people. And that more for the people, they had some visions around, I can go innovate in this, I can go do this. And fundamentally, my conversation was, what is that you really want to be? And their thing was, we want to provide services to startups and everything in these different scenarios. And I was like, you're a startup, you have funding coming from different sources, and of course you have revenue flowing in too. Wouldn't you rather be better served if you were to invest in what you want to do versus investing in the back ends? Let Microsoft help you do that. And plus the good news about Microsoft, so does a lot of MNCs, is we bring a lot of wealth of information because we serve and we work with customers and partners across the globe. We have looked at advanced countries like US, right down to really, really, really emerging countries like Estonia, which has gone 100% digital. And so we're able to bring those insights and help companies like iYogi really develop. Now, what are the next steps from that? We will help them where possible from a partner ecosystem perspective, from a customer's perspective, and also if they need help with the business modeling and all that, we could probably provide them some insight so they can go do their own business. But additionally is like, as we are on the path to enable every single organization in India, I mean, we are truly committed to make in India and make with India. We are truly committed. That's why we are investing in data centers here with partners. We will launch cloud services in India. And as a part of launching cloud services, the whole reason we are launching cloud services is to bring the platform to India, so that addresses even the security regulatory reasons. but most importantly, to address the needs of enterprises here. Today, many enterprises, though they have organizations, I should say, though they have data centers here, they're also putting their data in countries close by or in US and all that. The power to bring it closer and providing them the same innovation that we could give anywhere in the globe to the people of India enables them to do a lot more. You know, and there's not going to be any difference from the services we provide in the US to the services we provide here. Any new innovation which happens there is going to be here right away. That's the power of the cloud, to be able to do it. Well, the thing is, as we look, Microsoft has always been a partner-led company. We always believed in our partners. We work with partners, and our success is our partner's success is our success. We always want to be that way. In tune with that is we also work around, especially when new technologies come in or new things come in, is you start seeing a mushrooming effect or a blossoming effect. It doesn't turn into a mushroom till later. You see a blossoming effect. You have to nurture that blossom to actually bring it to a certain stage, at which point you start seeing other innovations start happening on that. Now, we will work with companies such as iYogi to be a part of their innovation. We will work with them, and it's also a two-way street. For us is when we notice, that things that they are going after a scenario which we haven't thought about and that they have thought about, it also enriches our experience in terms of going back and building towards that experience. And maybe there's something missing, we are able to plug the gaps. And especially with the type of innovation we are doing is we are rolling out features every day, and we are so nimble in things, so we are able to get something out to that market, to that customer really quickly, to be able to do it. And I think we will continue to do that for our partners. Well, it's greenfield. It's greenfield. I'm telling you, is like, I think we've just started scratching the surface on scenarios. Today, smart cities, we are talking about, internet connectivity to every home. We are talking about, how do you turn the lights on and all that stuff. But we haven't talked about the business intelligence part of it and being able to better people's lives and things. Today everything is in bits and pieces. When the whole thing comes together is when the citizen is connected with the government. When I say government, as a bureaucrat, and being able to do things on the fly. There are a lot of things which need to change for it to become a reality in terms of our own infrastructure. I'm not talking about Microsoft's infrastructure alone, like the last mile connectivity, the broadband improvements, and just the physical nature of how buildings are constructed, the green initiative. It's a combination of everything. It excites me because every time I talk about, green city, I come up with a new scenario. Somebody tells me a new scenario. I haven't been in any meeting where I haven't heard a new scenario. And I haven't done too many meetings, let me also caveat that, but the number of meetings I've done or met with people, I don't want to call it meetings like, room. The people I've met as a part of the smart cities and all that stuff is quite thing. In fact, we are actually working on a the white space initiative, in where this is almost like a research project. Our MSR has worked on it, and we're actually working with the government, and Prime Minister Modi was kind enough to accept, the proposal that we had. And so we are trying to do some of the stuff around, how do you do improvements and bring our research stuff to reality in some of these places. And the whole thing is here, everybody needs low cost services. Pricing becomes you need more value, but at a low cost, so we'll continue to do that. No, we're there, right? So we have been around, if you look at it, companies over 40 years old, and if you look at India alone, we are celebrating our 25 years this year. So we've, maybe not me, I've been away 24 of those years, but there are people in Microsoft who have been a part of the continuum, who have seen that change. I'm also looked at it from the outside in, in terms of, people who worked in other industries who saw Microsoft grow. We are committed to improvement. Like, we are committed to supporting our existing partner ecosystem, our customer ecosystem, and raising the bar for them to take them forward. We do, we can keep talking about this all day, but there are tons of things that we do with our customers and partners that we continue to change their environment. for them and make them much more agile and make them much more, relevant in today's market.